So I don't know about you, but in my training to become a therapist, there was a lot of emphasis on transference and countertransference, and specifically a lot of emphasis on being aware of it, making sure that you know when it has shown up in the room, making sure that you're not projecting your experience onto the client, or if you're being overly activated, it's important to compartmentalize that experience or check it at the door or put it in the drawer, however you want to think about it. And it's time for us to have a new understanding of transference and countertransference. This teaching creates so much angst inside of play therapists and therapists in general, because what it does is it makes us believe that there is a boogeyman in the room. It makes us believe that there's this thing, this part of our experience that we need to watch out for because somehow it could be really harmful or hurtful, not only to our client, but also to us. And the piece that I want us to begin to wrap our minds around is that transference and countertransference is the therapeutic landscape. It isn't something that shows up sometimes. It isn't something that just peeks its head up and then you go, oh, there it is. It is. It's probably the best way of saying it just is. Every single moment of every single interaction that you have with your client is a moment where transference and countertransference say hello. Every single one of them. There isn't a moment in the entire session that does not have transference and countertransference. And here's the thing, it's not just from the client to the therapist and the therapist back to the client, because that's usually how we think about it, as the client transfers the experience to the therapist and the therapist then engages in countertransference back to the client. But it's happening the other way around too. The therapist is also transferring to the client, and the client is also engaging in countertransference back to the therapist. And it's an ongoing dialogue because there's no way that you can be in the present moment without all of your history being in that moment with you. Your client is going to activate your history. You are going to activate your client's history. As I just shared, it is the therapeutic landscape. So rather than being afraid of it, and rather than having this idea that it's this thing that we have to watch out for, and it's this thing that when it shows up that we need to quickly compartmentalize it, maybe a more useful discussion is, well, since it is, how do I use it? Maybe that actually has the possibility of opening up new dialogue and new discussion and more exciting new possibility for where the therapeutic relationship can go, the depth that it can go into. Maybe there's a place right there in the transference and countertransference exchange. Maybe there's some real wisdom in that. Maybe it's purposeful. So I'm just offering that up as a new question, as a new thought. I'm not going to answer the question. I'm not going to say what it is in this video. I simply want us to begin to have a conversation that says, what if the way we've been thinking about transference and countertransference isn't quite it? Just what if? What if there's something more? What if there's a different possibility? And what if it is the therapeutic landscape, and therefore our work is to learn how to be with it and work with it instead of being afraid of it and trying to avoid it. So there's your new question, and I invite you to look at it, think about it, question it, see your own relationship show up, even to the idea that transfer and countertransference simply is and is the therapeutic relationship.